Okay, good morning. I'd like to call to order the Community Service and Public Safety Committee meeting scheduled today on October 26th at 9 a.m. In terms of FOIA compliance, are we in order?
Yes, sir, we are.
Okay. In terms of roll call, Mr. Lennox?
Here.
And Mr. Harkins is here, and we're awaiting the chair, Mark Grant, who will join us shortly. We'll hold the approval of the minutes till Mr. Grant comes forward. In terms of citizens' comments, are there citizens that wish to comment today?
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, Mr. Harkins, public comments concerning the agenda items were to be submitted electronically via the town's open town hall portal. The public comment period closed Friday, October 23rd at 4:30 p.m. At the conclusion, there were 3 citizen comments. Citizens were also able to call in to speak personally at the meeting no later than noon on Friday. No citizen signed up to speak at the meeting.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the review of committee dates. In the absence of, now our chair has joined us, Mark Grant.
Have we started the meeting?
Yeah, Mark, we started the meeting in your absence, and we are right now at approval of the minutes. So if you'd like to call for a motion to approve the minutes.
I second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mark, we did not have any citizens' comments. We had 3 letters that were sent in. So I'm turning the meeting over to you. The next item is unfinished business, and I don't believe we have any. So we're moving to new business, 7A committee. So the ball's in your court.
Okay. All right. I need a motion to move into executive session for the reasons that we have to
Mr.
address.
Grant?
Hello? Yeah.
We need to start with new business A, approval of proposed 2021 committee meeting dates.
Yeah.
Mark, if I may, it's a logistical nightmare to jump into executive session, which was my request.
Okay.
So we'll go back to the regular schedule if that's at your pleasure.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, new business, approval proposed 2020 committee meeting dates.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay. All in favor? Raise your hand.
Aye.
That's you. Okay. Okay, 7B, accessible covered overlook at Islanders Beach Park. Good morning, Scott. How you doing?
Good morning, Mr. Grant. To you and the rest of the committee, I'm doing fine. I hope you all are doing well also.
Good morning.
With respect to the handicapped accessible covered overlook, this originates as a citizen request with which I believe you all have some familiarity. And for that reason, let me try to be brief here in my introductory remarks. Mr. Ken Carlozzi had submitted comments to the town previously. And in response to those comments, this item was previously discussed at the town's public planning committee meeting here, I believe in late August. At that meeting, the concept was unanimously endorsed and otherwise was ready for council review. The mayor had asked that some additional project scoping and cost estimates along with candidate funding sources and a discussion of priorities be developed, and that matter and those items be reviewed by the Community Services Committee meeting prior to the council taking action. So it's those details that I'm prepared to review here with you today. And I also believe that Mr. Carlozzi was one of those citizens that had submitted the comments there on Friday that should be part of your package and the public record. And if I can share my screen here to start. What you see here is a depiction of the covered overlook that's located down at Sebastian Inlet State Park. Are you all seeing the photo?
No.
No?
No.
No.
Hmm. How about now? Anything?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what you see here is a covered overlook that Mr. Carlozzi has suggested that we try to emulate at Islanders Beach Park. What you see here is the covered overlook on the lower right-hand photo. Obviously, the Atlantic Ocean there in front, and this is, as I'd mentioned, down at the Sebastian Inlet State Park. And so with respect to the mayor's request of some additional scoping and details, staff has made a site visit or two to the Islanders Beach Park, and I trust you all can see the aerial photo here that depicts that. Islanders Beach Park, principally located in the upper left-hand corner of the photo, with the beach and the ocean in the lower right-hand side.
We do not see. Do not see it.
I don't see it either.
All right, stand by. How about
Okay.
now?
No.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, to orient you to this photo, Islanders Beach Park proper is located in the upper left-hand corner of the photo, with the beach and the ocean in the lower right-hand corner. Staff has made a couple of different site visits with respect to this request, and as a candidate location has identified an area to the north and east of the existing boardwalk, seaward of the primary line of vegetation, but landward of the state and town regulatory lines. And what we would envision here, based on the scope that Mr. Carlozzi has provided, is a 25-foot wide, 15-foot deep covered overlook that would be directly connected to the boardwalk and would be handicapped accessible. This would provide what we believe is ample room per the request for those that may be in wheelchairs, along with room for caregivers. The cost estimate for the project, to include survey, design, permitting, and construction, is estimated and includes a contingency at $90,000 for that work to occur. The recommended funding source at this point would be within the town's parks upgrade item of our capital improvements program, which is principally funded with the Sunday alcohol permit liquor sales revenues, which are to be devoted to parks upgrades like this. And as it relates to priorities or a discussion thereof, the town, as you may be aware, had plans for a couple of initiatives within this same category this fiscal year. One was a covered picnic pavilion to be constructed at our Barkerfield extension property. The other was plans for playground upgrades at Jarvis Creek Park. And what staff would recommend, if the committee desires to make this a priority, is that we insert it in the park upgrades line, defer action on the covered pavilion at the Barkerfield extension, insert this, and we had planned from a scheduling standpoint to pursue the previously identified work here during the second half of this fiscal year. So after January 1, what I would suggest is that this becomes just a swap out, and with the direction and endorsement of the full town council, then we would embark on this project. And so our two park upgrades this fiscal year would be the covered overlook here and the playground improvements, the poured in place surface at Jarvis. And I'm happy to try to answer any other or any questions if there are any.
I have a couple. Yeah, my first question is, how many people will be able to sit on the in that pavilion like setting?
As I understood the request, Mr. Carlozzi had suggested that we have room for 5 individuals in wheelchairs. And based on what I understand the ADA separation guidelines are, and to provide sufficient room so folks that may be there aren't disrupted as other individuals come and go, I would, short answer to your question is we envision 5 in wheelchairs spaced broadside facing the ocean.
Okay.
Uh,
Mr. Hart.
Scott, do you envision running electricity there for overhead fans for the hot weather?
I don't know if there is power to that part of the boardwalk, but frankly, we hadn't gotten that far with the project scoping for me to give you a definitive yes or no answer. I think that
Right.
detail would come out in the design.
Yeah, I would just respectfully suggest you consider that.
Yes, sir, I understand.
Okay. Tom, you have any questions?
No, the memo and the detail behind the memo is very complete. I guess the only procedural question I would have, Scott, is this need not go back to CIP and Planning Commission?
I would suggest that the council has the authority to make this a direct insert to the capital improvements program, and the funding level being what it is at less than $100,000. I understand that Steve has that authority to make the move, of course, with the awareness and guidance of the council. So no, I don't believe that there is that requirement.
Okay.
Therefore, this would simply defer the picnic pavilion at Barker Field.
Right.
Yes, sir, that's what we recommend.
I have one more question. Are we looking to do others, or is this the one just because we consider Island of Beach a local beach and we want to help out the locals? Is that our head?
We aren't averse to looking at our other beach parks for the potential where this may become an added on feature. I will tell you that many of our other beach parks aren't as, I guess, well set up, if you will, for this type of structure to be added. The lay of the land, the vegetation line, the accessibility of the current boardwalk makes this one pretty straightforward. But the decision to add this as a fundamental component or element of all of our beach parks, I guess, yet to be discussed or decided.
Okay. And this is not in the dunes. This is right below the dune line, or what? Just try.
Seaward of the primary line of vegetation, you've got some pines and other maritime forest that's there. It is located historically in the trough of a prior dune. I mean, the vegetation is mostly confined to low grasses and herbaceous plants and that sort of thing, but it is landward of the state's regulatory lines, and from a permitting standpoint, it appears to be a permittable location that kind of checks all of the boxes insofar as the view shed, the view corridor, getting out as close to the breeze and the view of the beach and the ocean as we can without being too intrusive in that regard.
Okay. It's out of curiosity. And I guess let me just ask this final question. Hurricane standards. I don't know how well stuff are being done on the beach, but I would assume that this would be able to withstand Hurricane 1 or 2, maybe Hurricane 1.
We would have to get a building permit for the work, and so whatever the building codes require that this structure be built to is what we would comply with.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Do I have a motion for approval?
Yeah, I move that we bring this up with a positive comment to town council.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, Scott.
Yep. Thank you all. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Scott.
All right. Special events ordinance amendment. Do we have anybody present something on this?
Joe Hyder?
Mhm.
Yep, I'm on.
Okay.
So over the last few months, we have been working there's a group of us that work on special events, and we have been working to decide how do we move forward with special events during the pandemic. And a part of that is in order to allow us to continue to monitor and put in place some health safety requirements, we're asking that the ordinance be amended to lower the amount of participants that would require the special event to have a permit from 500 and lowering it to 250, and then to also add a section that would, as part of their submittal, they would submit a health safety plan along with the other items that are already included. So if you guys have questions, I would be happy to answer them. And
Mark, this makes a lot of sense to me. And Johaida, I was really surprised to see the detail behind Accelerate South Carolina and the guidelines. But this will require any event of 250 or more to hit your radar screen, and I think it's a real good idea.
Yeah, I'm quite comfortable.
I have a couple questions. Some of the your employees that work with you, if this is approved, are they required to be a participant in this, or do they have the chance to opt out of certain events?
I'm not understanding what you're asking.
Well, for instance, let's say that you have requested the fire department to be at an event with 250 people, but you might have some firemen or fire people that might be not want to be in a large crowd. Do you give them that choice with this, or is this something where this may be considered mandatory?
I think that's a little bit different than just the permitting requirements. Typically, we get asked to attend special events, and we've been trying to make decisions on who will go and what will go based upon what the event is and what the community is looking for. I mean, typically, if they're going to ask for an ambulance to be there for like the marathon or something like that, in a lot of those cases, it's done by us asking for somebody to come in on extra. So it is their choice at that point. But there are some times where it's just a crew goes and stands by, and that's just whoever is the closest to that event.
Okay. All right. And let me just ask this last. Similar to what Tom said, based on the state releasing or saying that we should go back to normal in some events, but even though COVID-19 seems to be pretty stable here, are you all keeping up with the numbers? And if in case it goes back up, are you willing to shut everything back down based on the numbers?
So I think that's something that we would continue to monitor. Like I said, our committee, it is myself, Scott Liggett, Julian, Sean Colin, and Josh. And so we have been meeting pretty much at least every month to look at what's going on so that we can make a recommendation on how to move forward. And so, our recommendation right now is that starting in November, we start allowing for event applications to come in so that we can start looking at them. But this would help us catch the ones that are lower because like I said, right now it's 500. So, if somebody wants to have something that's less than 500, we're not seeing that right now, where this would allow us to continue being able to monitor the situation.
Okay. Thank you. Bill, you have any questions?
No, I'm comfortable. Thank you.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Mark, I would move that we approve the amendment to the special events ordinance as presented.
I'll be glad to second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have unanimous. Thank you, Jahida. All right, next on the agenda, let's see. Let me get back up to the top. All right, debris management site sublease. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. We are here to discuss a sublease of the Honeyhorn property for the town to utilize it as a debris management site. As you're aware, the town has a lease currently with the Coastal Discovery Museum for the Honeyhorn property. And as part of that current lease, it does detail that the town can use that site for a debris management site. However, there is no information included within the current lease about possible compensation for loss of use of the property for the Coastal Discovery Museum. As you recall, after Hurricane Matthew, Honeyhorn was used for an extended period of time in 2016 as well in 2017. And subsequent to that, the Coastal Discovery Museum did request funding support from the town for the loss of use of the property, which was granted. Because there was no formalized agreement for compensation at that time, it was not a reimbursable expense. So after discussions with FEMA, we were directed that a sublease would be the best avenue to seek out possible reimbursement for the debris management site if we were ever to use it in the future. So this request comes to you based on that. If we were to ever use Honeyhorn again for a debris management site, we would have the ability to submit the sublease with the invoices to FEMA and have been told that that is an approvable thing to be reimbursed up to 75% of that cost. And so I have shared this with the Coastal Discovery Museum, and Rex Garnowitz is available as well if you have questions for myself or for the Coastal Discovery Museum.
I think this tidies up the situation so that we're able to recover. God forbid we have another one of these. So this makes sense to me. Thank you.
Let me ask you a question. In terms of this lease, more than likely we would pay the upfront costs and then they will reimburse the town back, because it does take a long time for FEMA to actually pay back. So my question is that in this lease, or are they required to just wait until FEMA comes back with the money or give them the money?
Yeah, the lease requires the town pay those costs, and then we would submit it for reimbursement.
Okay. All right. Well, that was the only question. Tom, you have any questions?
Yeah, Mark. Jamie, how will compensation be determined?
We set aside and came up with a funding of around about $50,000 a month, and basically backtracked from that we had a certain amount of square footage of the property to use, and determined that I want to say it was like 9 cents a square foot for the amount of time that we would be there. But it would come up to about $50,000 a month.
Does that need to be documented in the lease, or are we okay being open-ended?
It is within the covenant cost for that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. All right. Do I have a motion?
So moved for approval to be sent to town council.
Mark, I second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Let's see, what's next up is Summit Drive realignment for Hilton Head Island Convenience Center operations. Do we have someone to discuss this morning? Oh, good morning.
Good morning. Members of council, we are bringing this item to you today, and what we have is we're looking for a motion to endorse a new project, newly created project, to direct staff to begin work on the project and do all that is necessary to move this project forward so the construction could be completed by March 1st. The project is the realignment of Summit Drive. The county came to the town a few weeks ago and made the request that we make roadway improvements to Summit Drive that will facilitate their new decal checkpoint operations at the Hilton Head Convenience Center. Let me throw up an exhibit on the screen. Can you see this?
Not yet, no. Okay, no. Yes.
Yes, if you can see this exhibit in my cursor, right now when you come down to the end of Gateway Circle, traffic goes onto Summit Drive and then can turn into the convenience center.
All right.
What we would like to do is make the mainline traffic flow go down Gateway Circle. Then at this point, it becomes Summit Drive, and traffic would continue along the white lines here. The yellow line would be a queue system devoted to folks entering the convenience center. At this point at the gate, they would have a decal checkpoint. And for folks who had the decal and were allowed 2 visits per week, the security would wave them through and they could enter into the checkpoint or into the convenience center. For folks who did not have a decal or have exhausted their 2 visits per week, the guard would send them on their way and they would go down this road and continue back out. I have the sketch here. The roadway design could be a simple curve. We could put a roundabout in to save a cluster of live oak trees, or we could bifurcate and split the roadway to save some more live oak trees. So there's some design options we'll need to figure out. But the things that need to happen in order for us to meet this project deadline would be an MOA between the town and county would need to be executed, defining our roles and responsibilities of each party. The 2 parcels you see here outlined in blue, those are currently owned by Beaufort County. They total 0.6 acres, and the tax assessor's office has them appraised at $106,000. Whether it's by a conveyance of right-of-way to the town or the county just transfers both parcels, fee simple to the town, there would have to be some transfer of land so that we could permit the project and continue on. The town owns all the land to the east here of the project area, and the county owns all the land to the west at the airport. The town must amend its budget. As I said, this was an unforeseen project. We've estimated construction at around $500,000. The funding would come from the road usage fee we would propose. So there are funds available, and no other project would have to be deferred or lose budget. The town would have to obtain all permits. This is a DPR from our Community Development Department, as well as a public project review from the Planning Commission. And as part of the MOA, there would be a sharing of responsibilities during construction. The county has offered to do some of the front end work, the clearing, grubbing, tree removal, grading, putting down stone base, etc. Then the town would do the finished work, the asphalt paving, concrete paving, landscaping, fine grading, etc. And the town would also do all the upfront cost of surveying, engineering, and so forth. So I have Dave Wilhelm here in the meeting. He is the county's Director of Special Projects, has a background in solid waste, and he can speak a bit to the county's involvement as well as the decal system.
Good morning. Jeff, thank you for the introduction. Excellent job. Really appreciate all of Jeff and Hilton Head staff working with us on this. It's a project that has come up very quickly. Just a real brief background. The Hilton Head Convenience Center is the county's busiest convenience center, almost 1,200 visitors a day. Our budget did not have funding for this center past the end of this year. County Council has agreed to continue operating the center with the caveat that we would implement a decal system. And I don't know if you're familiar with the decal system. It's basically a mechanism that we're going to be able to use to try to minimize the misuse of the centers by contractors and Alameda County residents. So basically, the decals are free to any county resident with a limitation that you're only allowed 2 visits per week to the center. We think this will greatly reduce the volume of traffic to the centers and, as I said, hopefully stop the misuse of the centers of contractors using the sites. Initially, it's going to be very crowded at the center. Right now, there's a big traffic problem already. Adding a decal checkpoint will just add to that initially.
Right.
Once the system's up and running, it'll go pretty smoothly. That's why it's critically important to build this bypass road, as you see on the drawing that Jeff had. What this will allow is a separate dedicated road going to the convenience center, which I think will alleviate a lot of the traffic concerns. And as Jeff indicated, the county is willing to partner with the town on this, willing to do all the site prep work, clearing, grubbing, purchasing the stone, placing, grading the stone, stormwater, erosion sediment control. So be happy to answer any questions, but as I said, Jeff has done a great job putting this together very quickly and trying to get this moved forward. The decal system, we hope to implement the decal system countywide on January 1st. We know that's not realistic for this site, so we're going to implement the decal system January 1st on all the other centers, and we're looking at a target date of hopefully March 1st for Hilton Head site.
Bill, you have a question?
Yes, a question to Dave and to Jeff. Is the decal system limited to Hilton Head residents only, or is it a decal for the county residents?
Good question. It's a countywide decal system. Any resident in Beaufort County can get a decal free of charge, but we'll have a system in place. When you come to the centers, we're going to be able to scan the decal, and it will limit the number of visits to twice a week. So whether you go to the Bluffton Center, Hilton Head Center, or center north of the Broad, you can only go to any center twice a week, but it will be available to anybody in Beaufort County.
Thank you. And one other question, and I have no expertise in the area I'm going to ask, but I was reading another study recently that favored using license plates versus decals as a point of identification. Have you had a chance to study the pros and cons of either?
Yes, we actually did a pretty extensive analysis of that. We have a consultant. They looked at all of the other decal systems that are implemented in this area. License plates do work. There were some issues with license plates. I think the biggest problem with that is just how quickly cars change, license plates change throughout the course of the year. The decal can be given to a property owner once a year, and they can hold on to that decal. The consultant recommended going with the decal system just because of logistically, it's a little bit easier to implement, a little bit more accurate. But we did look at license plates also.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tom, go ahead.
Dave, is it one decal per household?
No, we're looking at possibility of two per household. There's been a lot of residents that said they come to the centers with different vehicles. But the decals will be basically dedicated to that site. So whether it's one or multiple decals, that resident will still be limited to twice per week.
Good. And Jeff, I'm a little bit confused about the diagram that you put up with the realignment of Summit Drive. Can you put that back up?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Jeff, the one-way queue, the yellow road,
Yes,
is
sir.
that existing or to be constructed?
That is existing. Right now, when you go to the convenience center, the road veers off to the right, Summit Drive proper, and you travel on and turn into the convenience center. The road that continues straight is called Gateway Circle, and it serves the airport fuel depot and the airport vendors there. That one-way queue, the yellow line, we will most likely leave the pavement width for two-way traffic, so you'll be able to queue a two-lane of traffic up to a merge point, and we've looked at that, and you should be able to get 20 vehicles in the queue before traffic backs out onto Gateway Circle.
Okay.
Green line, that's the existing entrance to the convenience center.
Yes, sir, it is.
Yes, sir, it is.
The gate is near that decal checkpoint label.
represents the to-be-constructed Summit Drive?
The white line, yes, is the to-be-constructed. Gateway Circle now, as I said, ends at the
Okay.
airport properties, and so we would make that into a big sweeping curve, and whether we build a roundabout to preserve those oak trees or whether we split the road for a second to preserve oak trees is still to be determined. But yes, the white line with the black line down the center would be the new main line for Summit Drive.
Okay. I go there every week, and I never realized there was that much of a right-hand turn going into the entrance at the convenience center. The yellow line surprises me.
Yeah,
Good idea.
you may be aware that when you're exiting and leaving the center, there's a stop condition coming out of that yellow line, and the Gateway Circle traffic does not have a stop condition. It's through traffic there, but it's a little bit of an awkward intersection. Sight lines aren't great, so yeah, this will be one way in only from that point.
Thank you.
Okay. I have a couple questions. Jeff, my first question is, in terms of the entrance to the convenience center, will people still be able to exit out the back way, or is this, do they have to come back out through the green entrance?
No, everything else will remain the same. So once you go in and drop off your trash or your recyclables, you will exit out the back the way you do now.
Okay. And then my second question, have you had the fire department look over it in terms of them coming in and out safely?
Yeah. We've been in consultation with the chief on this. He sees benefits as well. It'll be a smoother way in and out to the fire headquarters. All fire rescue personnel and trucks and vehicles will continue on Mainline Summit down to the headquarters there.
Okay. All right. Also have a question for the county official. In terms of 2 times a week, have you based that on budget, or is this based on need?
That the 2 times per week is based on basically an industry standard. If you have curbside collection now at your household, it's once a week collection. Industry standard for the area, southeast area, convenience centers that have some type of decal system is twice a week. So we went with basically what the standard is. We feel that's fair to residents. If you're an individual household generating waste, we really feel twice a week should be sufficient to bring your waste to the center. So it was basically just kind of an industry standard that we went with.
Okay. Second question is regarding illegal dumping. Have y'all discussed that? Because one reason I brought that up is because I tend to jog with my dog every morning, and of course it's been a busy weekend at one of the Beaufort County landing center on Marshland Road, and there were people who, I don't know who did it, but when I walked down that way, there was trash bags full of trash in the woods. And my question is, as we limit people, and there might be people who have more than enough trash that carries more than 2 days, how are we going to address those issues? Or is that considered to be town responsibility to go find, when they see trash on the side of the road or in the woods, to pick it up?
Well, I think it's everybody's responsibility. We do recognize that there is the possibility, probably a good chance of a possibility of increased illegal dumping once we implement the decal system. We've actually taken a step where we've commissioned 2 additional enforcement officers. So that gives us a total of 3 for the county in anticipation of this happening. So it's just going to be extra effort on everyone's part. Historically, our consultant has told us 3 to 6 months after you implement a program like this, you'll see an increase in illegal dumping. So it's important to be aware of it, to get on top of it quickly, just so it doesn't continue. But I just think it's just, it's up to all of us to try to enforce the laws and make sure, that we clean up and that we enforce illegal dumping.
So do you know the penalties of that? If, well, for instance, I mean, you see the trash on the ground, who do you call to pick it up?
Yeah, in unincorporated Beaufort County, and actually, I think our enforcement officers would go all over the county. They've actually been pretty successful. If there are bags left at our convenience center, but bags left anywhere on the side of the road, they basically just perform a little bit of detective work. They'll open the bag, they'll try to find some correspondence, if there's utility bills, letters, or something, and go back. And we've been pretty successful citing people for littering. Typically, the first time we give them a warning. If it's a second time repeated offense, there are fines, and I think it's up to $1,000 per occurrence. So it's a pretty significant fine.
Okay. All right. Jeff, same question. Basically, the town looking at probably trying to assist in illegal dumping. Have y'all
Yeah,
had that conversation?
We have contractors that do landscape and litter control on the public roadways. So, when there's trash alongside of, 278 or Spanish Wells Road or something and so forth, those contractors pick it up. But, one thing I think we'll need to be very aware of is all the town properties, the vacant
Right.
wooded properties. I mean, folks who may have enjoyed use of the convenience center in the past, and now that they can't without a decal and would be forced to go elsewhere to take their trash, may try to take the easy way out and dump illegally in the woods on town property. So yeah, we will probably expect to have more cleanup costs on our properties.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Do I have a motion or any more questions, discussions? Oh, Bill?
No, I move that we proceed as advised.
Okay.
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Screen what day was yeah. All right. Hey, update on dirt road pavement, LMO amendments. Staff report.
Terry Lewis is going to be giving an update.
Okay.
Terry Lewis, are you here? Is Terry here?
Mr. Chair, if Terry Lewis is not available, I would respectfully suggest that we go to the next item on the agenda.
Okay. All right. At this time, do I have a motion to go into executive session to review talent bank applications for vacancy on Park and Recreation Commission?
So moved.
Mr. Grant,
Yes?
Carrie is in the room. She was having an issue connection, so she is now in the room.
Okay.
Good morning. Sorry about that. This is Carrie Lewis. So on Friday, October 23rd, the Public Planning Committee met and reviewed the dirt road paving amendments. and they voted 2-1 to recommend approval of those amendments. So those will be coming to full town council on November 4th.
Okay, thank you. All right. Motion to move into regular session to view talent bank application and vacancy on Parks and Recreation Commission.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, at this time, we're going to move into executive session. Thank you. At this time, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Okay, all in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all. Y'all have a good afternoon.
Thank you.